Hi students. I wanted to demonstrate something super important for a couple of things. If you are using nature, earth tones, grays, neutrals, in any kind of project, it enables you not only to make your palette more rich and sophisticated, complex, showing your awareness of color mixing, but it also can create depth depending on the temperature that you use, depending on the placement, the mixing, the blending, the edges, and it also can really feature pure color, because when everything is accented, there's no focal point. But when you have everything weaving into your color in some conscious, deliberate way, it works really well. And the colors in this project are intended not only for, in a design sense, pulling out those colors and hues. In my color theory class, you'll be doing a atmospheric perspective, which is really lends itself to these natural colors. Both 23, 26, and 27 are going to be doing a warm-up scale before this sort of project that involves earth tones and neutrals. The mixing is the same, the assignment of the scale is the same. The only difference is when you're in my painting class, there's one other step I'll have you do before you start your project. As you recall, the color wheel is usually 12 steps. It has 3 primaries, 3 secondaries, and 6 tertiaries. You remember how mixing these higher key colors are really tricky because the yellow gets eaten, the blue takes over, and the red sort of hangs out in the middle. So we always mix into the yellow just like we mix into the white in a value study. We're going to talk a little bit about what happens when all the hues of the wheel are mixed together. Really, it's just the primaries that are mixed together. On some color wheels, like a 10-point Munsell wheel, there have been many ways of organizing color wheels through time. You could get more of a gray neutral if it was scientifically managed. This, however, we get a neutral brown, which we call mud. Now, it's sort of like a chocolatey color in here. The idea is that it neutralizes by having everything in it so that you can't tell what went into it. So to mix your mud to put in the center of your wheel, you're going to mix the primaries. Now, you're going to mix much more yellow, slightly less red, and very little blue. And you're just going to mix them together, red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow, until they don't look like a color. It might lean purple, so you look on the wheel, add yellow. They might lean red, look on the wheel, add green. You want to make sure that you can't tell what color made it. So the project is, once you mix this mud, now this is just for the earth tones, I'm not talking about the complements, because there's 2 scales. The first scale is about creating the earth tone version of the hues. Now, usually we do all 12, but I think you'll get the gist with the 6, because you can always make the ones in between on your own, but we're just going to do the 6 because there's 6 steps on both of the warm-up scales. With the earth tones, you want them to be clearly in steps. So starting with yellow all the way around, yellow always being the top of the wheel, we're going to add a fleck of brown into each one. You don't want to add enough brown that it all turns brown. That happens a lot. We want to say distinct steps. Now when you start adding brown down here, you're going to get close together. It's a little tricky, it might look a little dark, but as long as you can see some distinction, you can do it. You can either paint this in hard edge with a flat brush, you can also use a palette knife to apply it to your warm-up scale. So one scale is going to be earth tones on your warm-up, and the other scale is going to be neutrals. They're related, but they're different. So we're going to do earth tones first. I'll just mix them in the middle here. And I'm just going to use my palette knife to apply it over there. I don't have shapes mapped out, but you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. So I'm going to pull a little yellow in, and I'm going to add the tiniest little fleck. I'm just saving my yellow so that I have some real yellow near it, because I'm actually going to use this palette to demonstrate something after this video that applies to my painting class. But this actually applies to aerial perspective project in 23, also to local color, and also to tertiary, only because you get a sense of what the hyphenated colors were. I already sent that one, and that was for project number 1 with 27. This is for now project number 2 for 27, project number 3 for 26, and the aerial perspective project for 23. There's a lot of overlap in these things. All right, now I'm going to drag some green out towards the middle. Can never make the wheel too many times. It's get better every time. Fleck of brown. And again, just like we did in the wheel, you can do a few together before switching, because everything has mud in it in this. But you can start to see it's starting to, well, this needs more yellow for sure. This needs more yellow. See how it should be getting lighter up here and it got darker. So I'm gonna lighten this. Can always add more yellow at the top. See how that yellow just goes? It's like so frustrating sometimes, because, you know, instead, again, take away the extra and just keep moving. Because if you keep adding into that yellow, you know, put a little brown too. Main thing is that we get these distinct steps. Getting them there, but not up at the yellow. So I'm going to have to add a little yellow, as usual. But I just don't want it to be the same. Oh, you know what? We don't have to do the in-between. So never mind. We're doing every other. Because we're only doing 6 steps. That makes it a little easier. So just skip the tertiaries. So your steps are going to be a little more dramatic, but it's the same thing. So I've got yellow plus mud, green plus mud. Now I got to do blue plus mud. And again, you can use what's on your palette knife already, because it's all in there. Yeah, these are going to be much better because you'll be able to really see the jumps. You can see when they start to get dark, it's harder to see. And then we've got purple plus mud. See how they have steps? I've got yellow, green, blue, purple, and then all I need is orange. Well, I have green because I did this one. Anyway, we're going to end up with 6. Yellow, green. It's the 3 primaries. Yellow, blue, red, and green, purple, orange. So those are your 6 earth tones. So you just keep going around. Here's my orange and mud. Way too much mud. So I'm going to go in here. See, that's better. So you're going to end up with something like this. I'm going to use this in a little yellow because I don't like the way that looks either. All right, so you're going to have orange plus mud over here. I'm mixing the two because I just don't want to have to get orange out again. Okay, orange. That looks pretty good. I'll try to go in order. Yellow. And just label them so you know. Yellow, orange. Gotta do red, orange here. Well, not doing red, orange, red. Yellow, orange, red. Then where's my purple one? It might get a little disorganized, but as long as you stick with those, there we go. Look how cool those are. And they're turning out good even though I'm kind of going around, but that's kind of, I know what I have here, so it makes it easier. And then, okay, so I have 4, and now I need the green. Yellow, orange, red, purple. Oh, I need my blue. Pretty. Just gorgeous, you know what I mean? And then, well, I don't want to do that because it's too dark. Green. All right, so you get a sense. See these? There's 6 hues from the wheel. 3 primaries, 3 secondaries, and you can see the steps. Now, in other projects, we do all the steps in between as well, but I felt like it was fine to narrow it down. You get the idea. And this palette is fabulous for landscape, for anything earthy, for local color of any kind, for fruits and vegetables. It's just gorgeous. Okay, so that's the earth tones. Now, when we get to the complements, you're going to mix opposites together. So you're going to also get 6. So if I mix green, well, this is my green. Green and red together, nothing else. If it looks too red, add more green. And you can also divvy up the piles. You know, regroup at any time. This palette's very small, so you're going to have to use several. Okay, now this is what you get when you mix red and green, at least in my case. Everyone gets a little bit of a different situation. But you can see that complement is slightly different than that. Let's do yellow and purple, since I'm over here. And remember, if it gets a little mud in it, that's fine, but these are going to be done separately. You can't do all this at once, but I wanted to demo it all at once because there's another cool neutral. There's a slight jump, enough to show. And then I could do orange and blue. Everybody's come out a little different. This is terrible mixing, but everything's drying out. I just want you to get a sense and label everything. So you'll be like green and mud, you know, all the way, and then just go neutrals, what colors they are to make them. So you're going to have 6 steps of earth tones, 6 steps of complements, and that's going to be the basis for the next project. And I will demonstrate more.